that was a good one. Wow, big one. So this is the last and final installment of my big overview on Tesla. I've talked about charging, I've talked about autopilot. This is going to go into the shortcomings of what the car is and what Tesla is. And as you can see from the title, is this the perfect car? I'm not going to make you wait. No, it is not a perfect car. There are shortcomings to this car, there are shortcomings to the company, and we're going to go into all of it. The one thing I do think is interesting, and I said this in the very beginning when I started this, is there's two ends of the spectrum. People that are 100% all in, they love Tesla, they love Elon Musk, they love everything the company's doing. And then you have everybody else, the cynics, the haters, the people that are just waiting for this company to fail. And there's actually a word for that I realized, or I found when I Googled it. I can't say it, but I'm gonna play it.
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. Basically, the definition of that is someone who gets pleasure out of seeing something else or someone else fail. And I feel like that's what this end of the Tesla haters are. They are just waiting for any instance for this company and this car to fail. And when it does, they are going to point it out and say, I told you the company was going to go under. I told you this would happen. This all stems from an experience my mom had, which is kind of where I want to start with talking about this car and this company. So my mom went down to Asheville with a bunch of her girlfriends. She's made the trip several times. She has a condo down there. She's taken my kids and Lindsay down there, and they've taken the trip in the Tesla. Now, the distance from Maryland to Asheville, North Carolina is far enough where I think you can do it in 2 super charging stops, but I think she does it in 3 just to be safe. Long story short, she was coming home. She stopped at a supercharger, plugged her car in, and the car just died. It wouldn't do anything. She called me asking what to do. I told her to try to reset the car, which fixes a lot of the times. It's like doing a hard reset on your phone. That did nothing. So in the app, and if you Google it, there is a service number. You can go right into the display and you can hit service here. They'll call you. She did. Service called and said it looked like a fuse. Regardless, they had to send a tow truck to get her car. She was in, I think, Lexington. They had to tow her car probably 2.5 hours to Richmond, Virginia. They got her a rental. So in props to Tesla, she had a rental car. They gave her a rental car. I think she had the car for 2 weeks. They paid for everything. I would have liked to have seen them throw, because it was coming from a Tesla dealership, throw a demo on the tow truck. Give her the demo for 2 weeks and let her drive that around versus having to get a rental. Regardless, they paid for it. That's a big step. Some of the things I have issue with is when I bought this car, everything's done through my app. I went on my phone, went to Tesla.com, bought the car, paid for the car using Apple Pay. My car was ordered. I get updates through text and email on where my car was going to be there. Went and picked up my car. Everything's transactional through text and email. It is very hard to get somebody from Tesla on the phone unless you're planning on buying a car. If you need service, it's all done through apps. And I don't know about you, but when I call my internet provider, my phone company, credit card companies, I hate automated services. I want to talk to a person when I'm having an issue. And nothing could be more true with a car. When you're broke down on the side of the road, the last thing you want to do is be dealing with somebody over text. Pick up the phone, let me know what's going on. When I want to get updates on what's going on with the repair of my car, I want to talk to somebody. So a gripe with Tesla is you've got to get better with service. I get it. You're a small company, you're growing, but you got to give me a number to call somebody so I can figure out what's going on. And that's an issue. That's a real issue. This car doesn't have a spare tire, so if I get a flat tire, somebody's got to come get me. And so when my mom told me her car broke down, my mind immediately goes to, no, the critics of Tesla are going to have a field day with this. They're going to have this pleasure in knowing that the car failed, and there it goes. They're going to get some sort of pleasure in knowing that the car failed and you had an issue, and it's going to be, I knew that the Tesla was going to fail. Why would you drive that car on a long distance trip? You're a sucker. Well, to those critics, I'd like to point out the mid 1980s. My parents were teachers, so every summer we drove to Florida, and we took a trip in our van. This is the Toyota van from the 80s. Remember this thing? Well, it was a great van. So one spring break, we're driving back from Florida. We get to, I believe it's Dillon, South Carolina, right on the border of North Carolina, South Carolina. It's like 11:30 at night. The car breaks down. We have to walk in the dark trying to find a body shop. We find that, or a repair shop. We find that they're closed. We find a hotel. We go to that. It's, of course, NASCAR weekend in this town, so there's no rentals or anything anywhere. We end up finding a rental, luckily. Long story short, the transmission, I believe, went out in the car, so we had to drive a rental back to Maryland. When the car was repaired, my parents had to drive back to Dillon, so probably 6-7 hours, I could be wrong, but a long hike back to get the car and drive it back. The point of this story is that's in the 80s. In a standard traditional combustion engine car, cars will break. This car will break. Every car will break. So it's not a Tesla thing, it's a car thing. If you drive a car, it will break. My father-in-law is a mechanic. He makes his living, he has his own shop. He makes a living off fixing cars that break. Don't think this is a Tesla thing, this is a car thing. So I felt bad for my mother. It was unfortunate. Luckily, she only had to drive back to Richmond, which is about 3 hours, not to North Carolina or Lexington. So cars are going to break. That's just going to happen. And when I started this, I had a list. I mean, look at this thing. I had a list of issues I have with this car. And I'll show you some of the things that are not perfect about this car. The first is the glove box. In order to get into this glove box, I got to go into the setting and I have to open it through the screen. I can't just reach over here and open it. That's an issue. These cup holders, I don't have a water bottle in the car, but these cup holders don't have any bumpers on the side. So a standard water bottle does not fit in these cup holders, so it falls over, it rolls around. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you have bumpers in this? The trunk, it's 2019, this car can drive itself. It's driving itself right now, but yet it's a manual lift gate in the trunk and the front. Why not put automatic lift gates? You can do aftermarket upgrades to the car, but 2019 and the car drives itself, put an automatic lift gate. It also is painful sometimes. It doesn't want to close, which an automatic lift gate would solve. So that's an issue. Sentry mode is the software on here that records if somebody gets too close to the car or anything happens kind of around the car. It's awesome technology, and there's videos out there to show how it works. The issue I had with that was originally I bought this 128 gig flash drive to you have to have a flash drive in to download the video of when there's an instance of somebody trying to break into your car or near your car. Well, that when it downloads that, it didn't have the software to delete, or the software wouldn't delete the oldest and re-record the newest. So that drive I had to remove because it was full every 2 days. Now I have a terabyte hard drive that's downloading that. So that was an issue. What else? Oh, this didn't have Spotify or Apple Music. It had Slacker. I don't use Slacker, so I wish it had like an app store where I could download Apple Music interface or Spotify, something other than Slacker. So This car has some issues. It is not perfect, but well, I wanted this video to be about all the issues that I had with the car. What's interesting is version 10 software just came out. They added Spotify. They fixed the issues with Sentry mode, and they've started to send out updates that fix some of the things that I had gripes about. They can't do anything about the manual liftgate. That's the car. If I want to do something about that, I'm gonna have to do that aftermarket. Where this car sometimes falls short, that can be resolved through updates. And when I sold my Dodge Durango to get this car, at the time of buying it 5 years prior, it had the best technology package in it. Well, when I sold it, that technology package was updated. This car is going to be better in 5 years when I get rid of it than it is today. It is going to be more efficient in 5 years than it is today, because this car is a computer on wheels. So through updates, the car can get better. Yes, things like motherboards and hardware that needs to be replaced, that you can't do anything about that, but this car will get better. Is it going to break down? Yes. It ended my mom's car, the drivetrain went out. Tesla took care of everything. It didn't cost her a penny. It cost her some time from going to get it, but they covered everything. Things are going to break in cars. Unless you can show me a car that is impervious to breaking down, it's going to happen whether your car is electric or whether it's a combustion engine car. So for the cynics out there, find another reason to point out this car isn't great, because it's going to break down. Your car is going to break down. My father-in-law is walking living proof that your car is going to break down. He makes a living off of it. But what this car does really well is it can fix a lot of the issues it has by software updates. And I think if you were to ask my mother, did she not like the experience? Yeah, I'm sure she didn't like it. But she's not selling her car. She's not ditching electric to go back to a combustion engine car. She knows it's a really good car and it drives incredible. That's the challenge. I challenge anybody watching this video, find time to go drive a Tesla and then tell me it isn't a totally different experience than what you're driving now. I love it. So while this isn't clickbait, the car is not perfect. It is the best car on the road right now. It has its shortcomings, but every other car does. And this car's shortcomings are far better than any other car out there. So go drive a Tesla. That's the end of my long rant. Get better, be better. I'll see you next time. See ya!